Alright guys, hey, Rich Simmons here. I'm going to try shooting this video again. My problem on my last video was I had Pandora playing, and there were, I think, just about 17 songs on there that they said I was violating copyright laws on it. So I guess they were listening, they read the data that makes the music, and it was blocked out of 230 something countries. Kind of interesting. I don't know how it got like that, but anyway, it was all intended to be just background music for me. I like to work with music while I work, but that's just me. I'll keep it quiet today. Anyway, I just got done removing the rib from last Sunday. That's rib number 19. This will be rib number 20. A little background on who am I. I'm just an average Joe. I'm 59 years old. 60 is my big number. Woohoo. I work for a car manufacturer. I'm a process engineer. Went to the school of hard knocks. That's where I learned what I do. And this will be my second airplane. My first one is a Zenith 601 XL. Took me a little over 10 years to build that. I built it, painted it. Enjoyed the process all the way through. I'm getting ready to do my second condition inspection on it. I got about 140 flights on it. I'm hitting 150 hours, and it's totally been awesome. In my YouTube channel, SIMMOR2, my first flight is in there. Feel free to take a look. It's shortened to about 10 minutes or so, something like that. The flight and the whole video is probably about 20 from what I took. It's inside the cockpit. You can hear my excitement. You can hear my calling the wrong altitudes and stuff just with the excitement. But oh, what a feeling. I took some transitional training, and I did the first flight by myself. I felt very confident with it. Just an amazing feeling to know that you've built your own airplane and you get to fly it. You get to do the maiden flight, you know, it's unbelievable. I've never flown a tail dragger before, so I'm in for some excitement on this. I'll do the same. I'll get some transitional training when that time comes around. But anyway, that's who I am. I'm nobody special. This here is intended to show you what I do. I'm not going to say it's right. I don't think it's wrong. It's just what I do. It's the way I do it. I'm comfortable with it. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So I build when I can. I work on something when I can. And eventually you'll be surprised how quick some things can come together. And before you know it, you'll have a good piece of what you're doing finished. My garage is a mess. It's my little playground. I play in it, I clean it, I play in it, I clean it. Right now I'm in a heavy play period, learning to weld, machining the stuff for my hub. I still got quite a few motorcycles parked in here. Me and my grandson rides, and then my personal bike that I ride when it's warm enough. But anyway, without any more delay, I guess I'm going to start building the rib. You'll see me grind, cut. I'll turn the dust collector on. It'll be noisy, and I don't expect you to watch the whole video. It's going to get boring, but I'll talk at a few points between it, trying to make a point of what I do, and you can apply it as you wish. You can discard it, laugh at it, whatever you want to do. But anyway, this is something I enjoy to do. My wife has blessed me without complaining about me building a second airplane. My family taught me God first, wife second, children third. Life will fall in its place as long as you work hard. And that's kind of where we're at. You know, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy tinkering. If I ever finish this, I certainly want to. But that's not the point. I'm doing something that I love to do, and eventually I'll get to fly it. I'm sure I will. Engine choice also is a Corvair. I'm going to go the Corvair route. I've got 2 blocks. I managed to buy some that have been in a plane before, so it's a box of pieces that I'll be building a good engine out of. I've got an extra case, an extra set of heads, but I've got good heads, the 2 good cases. I got screwed on the crank though. He said his crank was brand new and ready, but I found some pits in it. It looks like it's been welded up, so that's going to cost me another $1,000 to get a proper crank for it. But anyway, so Pietenpol Rib number 20. Be powered by a Corvair. I'm going to go as old as I can on the instruments, but I'll have my good old iPad with ForeFlight on it to back me up for navigation. If you haven't used it, you need to. It's pretty awesome. I use it in my Zenith, even though in the Zenith I have MGL avionics in it, and then Garmin radio and so forth. MGL, it's cheap, but it's done very well for me. I'm pretty satisfied with it for what I paid. I also bought it way too early in my build. It was really outdated by the time I had my first flight. So think about that when you buy any aviation avionics. Make sure you're close to ready, or you're going to be outdated pretty quick. But anyway, rib number 20, here we go. Watch, I'll point some things out and then talk as I go. Other than that, it's just going to be quiet, and y'all are going to get bored watching me smear glue on wood. So anyway, here we go. So this is my forming fixture. I'm going to take the lower out first. I put a mark from the end of the lower rib to the upper rib, and when I transfer it over here, I'll just line those marks, so I'll have it laying as it was in there. Here, all these marks is what was lofted from the drawing, not from their template that they drew. If you look at those two, they're different. There's about 1/8 of an inch difference on them. So I know it's not a whole lot. I also found a difference between my spars drawing versus their template that they sell. I'm sure it'll all fly as long as you make the numbers match, but I'm taking the drawing numbers and making those numbers match as opposed to their template. So I wound up not using their template at all. But anyway, I'll pull the lower out. Also I used the wax paper. I started using candle wax on the wood. I thought it was the right idea. It worked fine. I wouldn't have to fool with the wax paper. But lo and behold, the candle wax wore off. I had a pain in the butt trying to keep it waxed and all that good stuff. So I wound up just putting wax paper on. I get 3 or 4 ribs out of one set of wax paper if I'm not messing with the adhesive. So for what it's worth. I've got a mark on here that marks that template there, and that's where I bring my lower rib to. And they fit snug in here. I mean, not too far. And that sets the trailing edge of my rib. Everything's down there where it needs to go. It does spring back, and there's my one mark. I'll place that on the trailing edge of the lower rib, and they'll pretty much top the same. There's a total of 11 braces that go in, whatever you want to call them, which creates the truss of the rib, upper and lower rib pieces, and then the braces or whatever you want to call them. I've got boxes I took and taped up. I'm cheap, but anyways, and I cut 32 of each piece. They're all oversized a little bit. Somebody talked about cutting them all the same size. My personal preference is get them close and then take them down with the sander. I just think I'll wind up with less gap or more of an appropriate gap for glue to go in, and that's just my personal choice. It's not what has to be, it's just what I do. I got some wedges that I put in to tighten it up against that where it needs a little help. To make sure I'm tight against the buttons. These buttons, I don't remember the size of them. There's a pack of 100. I think it was less than $10, but I think it's a number 8 screw, and they're a 1/2 inch tall. Just shoot them down, mark it up, shoot them down, and it works really, really well. Not my idea. It's just one that I copied off of somebody. So there's 11 braces. I've got 10 that are cut out of this one right here. This very front one right here is different. It's a different size material. So every time I cut one and shape it, I'll go back and make a mark on the stock for that, and then I'll cut it. For those of you, I'm going on 60 years old, so those of you who know who Green Acres is, I'm kind of that way in my garage. I got a 60 amp service, so I got to unplug and plug in. So I'm going to go plug up my saws and my sander. Be right back. I've already started steaming my next one. I use a wallpaper steamer and a piece of 2.5 inch PVC tubing for my steam chamber. It's about 70 inches long enough to hold 2 pieces of the rib strips. So I slide them in there. I start the wallpaper steamer and I let it go. I try to go for at least an hour minimum of full steam, and when I see steam actually coming out, and that seems to work pretty good. So I had it running for a little bit. I've got to unplug it just because of the way I got stuff in here. And so it'll be off, and then once I'm done sanding on that, I'll plug it back up. There it is. Yeah, my little world, I get to step all over everything. See, when you know somebody's watching, you tend to do things just a little bit. I also use a lead pencil with a 0.5 millimeter lead in it. And for me, that's what it allows me to take, and you know the term when you're cutting wood, leave a mark, take a mark, and all that good stuff. If you don't like what your fit is, if you mark it, you can have up to a 0.5 millimeter mark. You can put that mark and you can take that mark off, or take half of that mark off, and you've taken out 0.2 of a millimeter, or 0.5 or whatever. I don't know that it's right or wrong. It's just the way I do it. So. People have said I'm strange anyway, but that's okay. I don't mind. Gotta be something. So for example, I put 2 marks on here. I know I gotta leave this mark, not take any of it, or try not to, but I need to take most of this mark. And yes, a whole bunch of clamps. So this is the first one right here. It's an odd one to all the others. On the rest of it, I'll have a dust collector on and do it. It's just odd in shape. Let me do this before I forget. And that's my mark for the next one. That stays there. Here's my pieces of gussets that go on the front. They're an odd size, so they kind of stay separate from others. But anyway, so that's good. So now it's a matter of, I've got 10 more to do. I'm going to go turn the dust collector on, and it'll get quiet. I'll still talk in between on some points, some things, but anyway. So each of these come out at some point in time during the gluing process. So I put a number 1, number 2, 3, etc., 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 all on the top end, so it gives me an idea. So I take them out just in case I don't mix them up, or if I do mix them up, I can put them back where they belong. I'll number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just FYI. being messy with it today. I don't mean to. But again, that's the glue between my pencil line. Yeah. Go figure, I forgot to plug the steamer back in. Sure wish I had somebody to sing to me. I can hear my steamer singing back there. It's gurgling and I can hear it's hot, so. Still can't quite see it all coming out, but usually I'll see the end, the steam coming out the end of it. Moved all over on me. But I hate to say that, I actually marked that one wrong. Murphy's Law, if it can, it will. Be prepared. So I marked that one wrong. I went across the narrow instead of across the wide. So I'm going to leave that glue on there. Oh my goodness, it's going to be extra weight. If it can, it will. 2. .101. Close enough, I think. I'm looking for .100. .102, that'll work. And like I say, that makes it within 1% of where it's supposed to be, for what it's worth. It's still not very warm up here. I think our high today is only supposed to be in the low to upper 50s, so it was pretty cool in here this morning. Or I'd done this first thing this morning before I did anything else. Get to take the wife shopping later. I've been at it about an hour and a half. I got about 30 minutes left here, so give you an idea on how long it takes to build one. Some folks can do other things. Some touch it twice. They do one thing one day to it and another to it the next day. I try to do the whole rib at one time. Neither way is wrong, neither way is right. I'd rather have all the gussets applied to it though while it's actually in the fixture, and that's what this does. I forget the gentleman who I actually saw this off of that I did. Even the little white collars there, just nylon collars. They work well. I got plenty left to continue on here, but it's starting to thicken. It's still plenty fluid. The viscosity is still good on it to where it can be used, but it's starting to leave more strings. I don't think it's bad yet, but it's just my preference to use 2 mixes. See, there's always one you mix. I didn't put a mark on this one. Murphy's Law, if it can, it will, baby. I've done it several ways. I've just put the glue on the tips on them as I go. Usually it's about 2 at a time. Or I've gone through and I've done them all. I'm going to do them all today, go all the way through, put them all in place with the ends of them glued where the butt joint is. Not sure what's right or wrong. Just pick away and go, man. You'll never get finished if you don't even start, so.
Sure wish I had. I'd have never dreamt that they wouldn't publish that because they could hear background music and that would break copyright laws of all things. They had one song on there that had some bad words in it anyway. I listened to all kinds of music. Maybe I would have offended somebody, so that's the good Lord's way of not letting it go out. Who knows? My wax paper got caught under there. Yeah, my steamer looks good. I got steam just a puffing out the other end of it. You can also smell the wood in the air too from, I guess it's, whatever it is, you can smell the odor of the wood itself. Another airplane flying overhead. Within about 10 miles of a college that teaches aviation, flying as well as mechanic portion of aviation and repair. So there's always airplanes flying overhead. But when I painted my Zenith, I actually, this area right here that I'm standing in, I actually built a small paint booth using one of those portable car covers. Then I clinked the floor real good where I would tape the edges at, and I laid a layer of duct tape all the way around. And then I went and got some fairly thick visqueen plastic, and I covered that and taped it to the floor to completely seal it. In the back corner, I put 3 air-conditioned vents for venting on the top, on the ceiling. And then on the vent, what I did where I walked in, I took a fan and put it inside a casing where it was just cardboard boxes, so I could slide that away, walk in, and close it back. And I had my own little paint booth. And it really came out fairly well. For someone who's never painted before, I think I did really well. But I didn't get a lot of dirt in it or anything like that. It really, really stayed clean. Really worked well. But it was big enough to get the wings in at one at a time, and I rolled the fuselage in with the engine on it, and I could fit that in there. So it was 20 by 10, I think is what it was, and then about 8 foot tall. Of course, none of the empennage was on it, rudder and all that. All that stuff was painted individually. And then I put it together at the airport for final assembly. That took me about a year. Shouldn't have taken that long, but I've got life. You know, wife and grandkids and kid, one child still living with us. And I like to keep busy doing junk, crap things. The motorcycle gets painted this year I've got the paint for it, and then that'll be finished. That'll free up a whole lot of room in here. I'll need it when I put the wings together or fuselage, whichever I decide to do next. I have a high interest in the wings because I'm going to use a composite spar instead of the solid spar. It'll be 3/8 plywood and then capped with wood strips. Jack, somebody out there on the Pietenpol Skyway, Internet Way, that's what he's using. I still got some studies to do on it, but I believe what he's got is stronger. There's some folks in Europe who has actually done that, and they've got some test results out of the one that I'm doing, copying Jack, whatever his name is. I don't have any numbers to look at, so it bothers me in some ways. I've started the drawings at work to run it through a CAD program to do the studies on it. I just haven't gotten around to it to finish it. I work in a manufacturing environment that keeps me very busy. Something's always wrong and needs to be fixed. Be glad to get out of it one day. Got to eat though, so you got to work. But that, my friends, is the last clamp right there in itself. Looks like everything's in order. I can just about consider it done. I got squeezed out. I didn't put those clamps on. Duh. That's about the third one y'all caught me on. But anyway, I got squeeze out, glue coming out at most. So for what it's worth, ignore the junk. But that's what it looks like looking down on it. There you go. So anyway, again, I'm not saying my way is the right way. I'm just sharing what I do. I looked and looked, and I only found a few videos. Some of them were sped up, and so here will be one more if people want to see it. They can. I'm going to let my wood steam a little longer before I put it in. But anyway, I live in Middle Tennessee. The airport where my other airplane's at is SYI, Bomar Field. If you're ever coming up that way, let's hook up. We'll have a hamburger. I'll share with you my other airplane. And this one's at my house, so it's not at the airport for now. Eventually, I'll carry pieces there. But anyway, peace out. And, hope that this doesn't look too ridiculous. Just a way of sharing. Anyway, take care.